Political and economic expert Taras Zagorodniy stated that Ukraine has little leverage to pressure China to end the war. Ukraine must demonstrate its strength, specifically by launching something into the Power of Siberia gas pipeline. This would be the best possible demonstration of Ukraine's strength to China. China has no interest in ending the war. It's happy with the way things are, he emphasized in an interview with Glavred. At the same time, the expert believes that relations between Ukraine and China essentially do not exist at this stage. At the same time, he is confident that Ukraine must demonstrate its strength by striking sensitive energy facilities in the Russian Federation. Ukraine needs to hit Urengoy, the Power of Siberia, and so on. So the Chinese themselves will come and ask us not to do this. Then Ukraine will be able to ask what the consequences will be. We need to show strength, and then the process will move in the direction we want. That's the only way this world works, Zagorodniy added. Recall Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian oil refineries have disrupted fuel supplies and driven up gasoline prices domestically, according to a report by the Institute for the Study of War. Analysts believe the resulting fuel shortage will lead to higher costs for both businesses and households, which could ultimately accelerate inflation in Russia. Even before the attacks, Russia had been experiencing fuel supply difficulties, leading to periodic export restrictions since 2022. The latest attacks from Ukraine have exacerbated the shortage and led to a sharp rise in gasoline prices in Russia and the occupied territories of Ukraine, the statement reads. According to analysts, the fuel shortage will increase business and household expenses and accelerate inflation in Russia. Strikes on targets deep in the rear remain one of the most sensitive issues for Russian society and simultaneously undermine trust in the government's ability to protect critical infrastructure, ISW noted. Refineries, factories, ports, and railroad lines have already been blown up. Ukraine now has an arsenal capable of hitting much of Western Russia, where much of the country's oil processing industry is concentrated. Kiev has also announced a new weapon called the Flamingo that it says could reach Russia's industrial heartland in the Ural Mountains. With long-range strikes, Ukraine aims to batter the country's oil industry and bring the pain of the war home to Russians. The question is whether the strategy will be enough to sway the Kremlin to negotiate in earnest. The ramping up of the deep strike campaign is Ukraine's latest reinvention of its war effort.
Iran on Monday reiterated its nuclear program was peaceful and said no new message had been received from the U.S. regarding talks over the program. According to Associated Press, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, Esmail Baghaei made the comments during a briefing where he also spoke about the country's participation in next year's Soccer World Cup. Iran has qualified for the tournament and will attempt to progress past the group stages for the first time. We hope the hosts of the 2026 World Cup, since there are 3 of them, all stay committed to the idea that sports should remain non-political, Baghaei said. We've heard that there might be some obstruction in the visa process. We hope that won't be the case. Next year's World Cup will be the 23rd edition of soccer's most prestigious tournament, which has been running since 1930, and will be held across Mexico, the United States and Canada. Separately, Baghaei spoke about alleged emails attributed to Jeffrey Epstein in which the foreign minister said there were calls for military action to be taken against Iran. What's notable in these emails is that a person with a well-known record of corruption, human trafficking, and sexual exploitation of women and children, something proven, not our claim, had ties with many influential figures and officials both in the US and in other Western countries, Baghaei said. This is meaningful because individuals with such criminal and disgraceful backgrounds are indeed enemies of the Iranian nation, he added. Conspiracy theories and outrage have swirled around Epstein since 2006, when the financier first faced criminal charges related to sexual exploitation of underage girls. He killed himself after more charges were brought in 2019.
در مورد سوال اولتون من باید سوال بکنم از دفتر آقای رئیس جمهور. حداقل بنده در این مورد اطلاعی ندارم. من یک بار دیگه گفتم خیر. امروز خیرهام زیاد شد. نه، پیام جدید دریافت به اون معنا که عرض کردم، به اون معنا که اشاره شده بود در جریان سفر آقای روانچی به مسقط پیامی از طرف مقابل ارائه شده. خیر، چنین چیزی اتفاق نیفتاده. ببینید اظهار نظرها، خب اظهار نظر آزاد هست. صاحب نظران، کارشناسان ممکن هست برداشت‌های خودشون رو در مورد موضوعات مختلف از جمله موضوع هسته‌ای اعلام بکنن. این به هیچ عنوان بازتاب دهنده موضع رسمی جمهوری اسلامی ایران نیست. موضع رسمی ما توسط سخنگویان رسمی ما بیان میشه. ما همیشه گفتیم برنامه هسته‌ای ما صلح‌آمیز بوده و گزارش‌های آژانس هم مؤید همین موضوع هست. سوال کوتاه به هر دو جوابتون خیر هست. من عرض کردم در این که واسطه‌های مختلف، کشورهای مختلف با ما گفتگو بکنن، با طرف‌های دیگه گفتگو بکنن، امر جدیدی نیست. سعی می‌کنن دیدگاه‌های دو طرف رو بشنوند و احیانا اگر بتوانند کمک بکنن در نزدیک کردن دیدگاه‌ها. ولی اینکه بگوییم این تماس‌ها به معنای شکل‌گیری یک روند میانجیگری است، خیر.
از توجهات عمومی خارج بکنم.
خب ما امیدواریم که میزبانان، چون 3 میزبان داره دیگه برای جام جهانی 2026، همه میزبانان متحد باشند به ورزش به عنوان یک امر غیر سیاسی، هرچند متاسفانه در عمل شاهد این بودیم که این گونه نبوده. ما هر گونه به عنوان وزارت امور خارجه هر کمکی که بتونیم برای تسهیل مشارکت خوب و قدرتمند تیم ملی فوتبالمون در مسابقات داشته باشیم حتما فروگذار نخواهیم کرد. مراسم قرعه کشی گروه بندی همونجور که اشاره کردید فکر میکنم نیمه آذر ماه خواهد بود. اطلاع داریم که تیم ملی فوتبال مسئولینشون قاعدتاً درخواست روادید کردند. فرصت زیادی نداریم و واقعا امیدواریم که دولت میزبان به تعهداتی که داره برای صدور روادید بدون هر گونه ملاحظه سیاسی عمل بکنه. تعهدات فیفا در این خصوص روشن هست. شنیدیم که یک کارشکنی هایی ممکن هست صورت بگیره در روند صدور ویزا. امیدواریم این گونه نباشه. فدراسیون فوتبال در هماهنگی کامل با فیفا کار را دنبال میکنه و امیدواریم هم در رویداد مربوط به قرعه کشی گروه بندی نمایندگان فوتبال کشورمون بتونن مشارکت داشته باشن و هم در خرداد ماه در مسابقات تیم ملی فوتبال انشاءالله حضور قدرتمندی رو ارائه بده.